Beneath the Giza plateau, where the modern world casts long shadows over ancient stone, lies a wound in the earth, a vertical descent into darkness known as the Osiris Shaft. It is a place of profound mystery and palpable danger, a subterranean world where the silence of ages is broken only by the steady, echoing drip of water on rock. Far from the sun and the commerce of the surface, this ancient labyrinth plunges deep into the bedrock, guarding secrets that have outlasted empires. For over 2.5 millennia, a phantom of a story haunted this very landscape. The Greek historian Herodotus wrote of a fantastic tomb, claiming the great pharaoh Khufu was not interred within his pyramid, but buried on an island in a subterranean lake. For generations, the account was dismissed as fanciful hyperbole, a traveler's tale embellished beyond reason. A pharaoh in a stone sarcophagus, sealed at the bottom of a water-filled shaft, seemed the stuff of myth. Yet, buried deep within the plateau, a reality uncannily similar to that legend lay waiting. Its location remained an enigma until the early 1930s, when the Egyptian archaeologist Selim Hassan, working beneath the causeway of Pharaoh Khafra's pyramid, stumbled upon its entrance. As his team descended, they uncovered a complex of multiple levels, a testament to immense labor. But their progress was halted by an unyielding guardian: water. The lower passages were completely submerged. For 4 punishing years, Hassan waged a war against the flood. Pumps thrummed day and night, a modern heartbeat against the ancient stone, but the plateau refused to yield. The water, fed by an unseen source, stubbornly reclaimed the depths each morning. Defeated, Hassan was forced to abandon the excavation, and the shaft's secrets remained submerged in the dark. Decades would pass. Then, in the late 20th century, the challenge was taken up again by the renowned archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass. Armed with superior technology and relentless determination, his team began a grueling 2-month campaign to conquer the water. Down they went, into the throat of the earth, through claustrophobic tunnels slick with mud. The air grew thick, heavy with humidity and choking dust. The roar of machinery, deafening in the confined space, echoed through the passages. Hawass would later confess his fear of being blinded and deafened by the ordeal, calling it the most difficult excavation of his entire career. And then, at last, their lights sliced through an eternal darkness, revealing what no human eye had witnessed for millennia. At a depth of some 40 feet, on the second level, they entered a vast chamber, flanked by 7 smaller rooms carved from the living rock. Within 2 of these antechambers sat 2 monolithic stone sarcophagi, silent and immense. Across the floors, the team found the detritus of time, fragments of ancient pottery, and the fragile, scattered remains of human bones. The sarcophagi were empty. The bones offered no names. The shaft, once a legend, had become a tangible enigma. It was not the tomb of Khufu, but its purpose remains fiercely debated: a symbolic burial for the god Osiris, or a resting place for forgotten priests. It serves as a stark reminder that for every secret wrested from the stone, the desert holds 1,000 more, waiting in the patient, silent dark. Painstaking laboratory analysis would later place the recovered artifacts in the 5th century before the Common Era, a date more than 2,000 years in the past. Yet, paradoxically, long after the Great Pyramids themselves, had pierced the sky. This chronological anomaly meant that long after the age of the god-kings had passed, people of a later era had still ventured into this suffocating darkness. They had descended into the earth, perhaps to conduct arcane rituals, or to commit their own dead to the hallowed ground, borrowing its ancient power. Even in the twilight of Egypt's later dynasties, the significance of this shaft endured, a place of potent mystery, though its original purpose remained shrouded. For the team led by the archaeologist Zahi Hawass, the final descent was a journey into another world. They moved beyond the known, plunging to the third and deepest level, a descent of nearly 90 feet through solid limestone bedrock. There, they did not step onto dry land, but waded into the chilling embrace of a subterranean cavern. The floor was a pristine, undisturbed pool of water, so impossibly clear that the beams of their leaves. At the heart of this flooded chamber, a solitary island of rock broke the surface, and upon it, a monument to eternity. A gargantuan sarcophagus, hewn from a single block of granite, its heavy lid pushed aside as if by some long-departed force. Standing sentinel around this stone coffin were 4 immense pillars carved from the living rock, eternal guardians in a silent, subterranean world. In that surreal, water-drenched stillness, it was as if a page of ancient history had materialized before their eyes. A hidden tomb, an island, a coffin surrounded by water. It was the very scene the Greek historian Herodotus had described as the burial place of Khufu. His seemingly fanciful tale, dismissed for centuries, was now, at least in its architecture, stunningly vindicated. Yet, if this was the legendary tomb of the great pyramid builder, a crucial element was missing. Where was the king? The waterlogged sarcophagus held no mummy, no gilded treasures, only the dark water of the aquifer. The answer lay not in the sarcophagus, but etched almost invisibly upon the chamber wall. A single, potent clue: the hieroglyph PR. A simple symbol, yet one that unlocked the shaft's profound identity. PR means house. To the ancient Egyptians, the entire Giza plateau was known by a sacred name: the House of Osiris, Lord of Rostau, the underworld tunnels. And here, deep beneath their feet, was his house, made literal. This was not the final resting place of a mortal pharaoh. It was something far more sacred, a symbolic tomb, a monument dedicated to the god of the dead himself. In the foundational myths of their civilization, the benevolent god-king Osiris was betrayed by his jealous brother Set, sealed within a chest and cast into the Nile. Submerged in water, he was ultimately resurrected to become the eternal ruler of the afterlife. The creators of this shaft had not simply built a tomb, they had painstakingly recreated that primordial mythic scene in stone and water, a hidden sanctuary dedicated to the god of the underworld, an astonishing fusion of religious symbolism and raw engineering. Yet for all these revelations, the Osiris Shaft clings to its deepest secrets. Archaeologists remain divided on its true age and authorship. The evidence is a baffling tapestry of time. Fragments of pottery whisper of Egypt's Old Kingdom, the very era of the pyramid builders. But the majority of artifacts belong to the Site period, the much later 26th dynasty. This suggests not a single event, but a sacred place known and reused across millennia, its purpose perhaps shifting with the sands of time. The construction itself remains a profound enigma. To carve a shaft nearly 100 feet straight down through solid bedrock was a monumental undertaking in any age. But the walls bear witness to a baffling precision. They are scored with long, straight chisel marks of a regularity that seems almost mechanical, a degree of neatness that challenges our understanding of ancient tools and techniques. The Osiris Shaft is more than a structure. It is a testament to an idea, an architectural embodiment of resurrection. It suggests that for the ancients, myth was not merely a story to be told, but a reality to be built, a force to be harnessed from the living rock. And in its water-filled depths, it guards a truth more enduring than any pharaoh's gold. That the human quest for meaning, for a life beyond the darkness, is the most powerful force to ever shape the stone of our world. Deep beneath the Giza plateau, far from the light of the Egyptian sun, lies a chasm that defies easy explanation. How did its builders, armed with the simple tools of their age, achieve such geometric perfection in the suffocating darkness? Or did they command a technology, a form of knowledge now erased by the sands of time? Was this a pharaoh's final resting place, left unfinished? A cenotaph, built to honor a soul whose body lay elsewhere? Or was it a site for rituals so profound, so secret, that we have not yet conceived of their nature? To this day, the silence from the past is absolute. The vertical passage known as the Osiris Shaft is sealed from the modern world, a realm forbidden to all but a select few. Access is granted only by special decree, under the most stringent supervision. It remains one of the most perilous archaeological sites in all of Egypt, a descent reserved for the truly intrepid. Those who have ventured into its 3 distinct levels disgraced downwards through rock, but backwards through millennia. As one emerges from that profound darkness, blinking in the desert glare, it becomes clear that this is but a single verse in an epic of unsolved riddles. But not all ancient enigmas are buried deep within the earth. Some are etched upon its very surface, vast enough to be fully comprehended only from the heavens. In the shadow of the Sajima volcano in Bolivia, a sprawling network of intricate lines carpets the high-altitude landscape. These are the Sajima Lines, an older and vastly larger counterpart to the more famous geoglyphs of Nazca. They cover an astonishing 22,000 square kilometers, an area larger than some modern nations, forming a tapestry of pathways and geometric forms that crisscross the arid plain with unnerving precision. For centuries, they were created with unimaginable dedication. The dark, oxidized crust of the earth was meticulously scraped away, revealing the lighter soil beneath, line by painstaking line. The labor is staggering to contemplate, but the purpose remains an impenetrable mystery. Were they ancient pilgrimage routes, guiding the faithful to sacred sites? Were they part of elaborate religious ceremonies meant to be seen by deities in the sky? The local Aymara people, who have inhabited this region for generations, speak of ancestral symbols and pathways to holy mountains. Yet without definitive records, their true intent is lost to us, a silent testament to a forgotten cosmology drawn across an entire continent. From the silent lines drawn across a land, we turn to the silent script of a people who vanished into the pages of history. Before the rise of Rome, a vibrant and influential civilization flourished in the heart of what is now Tuscany. They were the Etruscans, master artists, brilliant engineers, and seafaring merchants, whose influence was felt across the Mediterranean. They built sophisticated cities, drained marshlands, and created exquisite works in bronze and terracotta that still radiate with life. Yet they are a people defined by what we do not know. Their language, a unique isolate in ancient Italy, remains a profound enigma. We can read their alphabet, borrowed from the Greeks, but we understand only a few hundred words, gleaned from funerary inscriptions. The great body of their literature, their history, their beliefs, has evaporated. We know them primarily through their cities of the dead, the sprawling necropolises where they buried their elite in tombs painted with scenes of feasting and celebration. It is a haunting paradox. A civilization so full of life understood almost entirely through the lens of their death. They were eventually absorbed by the relentless expansion of Rome, their culture and language fading until all that remained were these cryptic clues. The shaft, the lines, the forgotten tongue. Each is a monument to the immense gulf that separates our time from theirs. They are echoes in a vast, quiet chamber, reminders that for all our accumulated knowledge, the past guards its deepest secrets with an unyielding silence. We can measure the stones and trace the lines, but we cannot hear the voices of those who created them. And perhaps it is in that silence that their true legacy resides, not in the answers we might one day find, but in the profound and humbling questions they compel us to ask. In the heart of ancient Italy, long before the legions of Rome marched to conquer the known world, another civilization flourished. They were the Etruscans, a people of profound artistry and deep spiritual conviction, who left behind an inheritance of exquisite artifacts and grand subterranean burial tombs. These necropolises, cities of the dead, speak of a society rich in culture and sophistication, a silence etched in gold and terracotta. But among the vibrant frescoes and enigmatic smiles of their statuary, the Etruscans bequeathed a more profound and frustrating legacy, a language that we can read but not understand. Their inscriptions are everywhere, on mirrors, funerary urns, and stone tablets. They adopted a variant of the Greek alphabet, a familiar script that allows our modern tongues to form the sounds their voices once made. We can pronounce their words, hear the faint echo of their speech across more than 2 millennia. Yet, comprehension remains a world away. The true meaning is veiled. Despite generations of scholarly effort, large portions of the language stay stubbornly elusive. We have discerned names of gods and mortals, isolated religious terms, and the skeletal framework of their grammar. But the ability to read their histories, their poetry, their philosophy as they wrote it, remains frustratingly just beyond our grasp. This linguistic void creates a significant gap in our comprehension of the ancient Mediterranean tapestry. The Etruscans were not a peripheral tribe, they were a foundational culture. They tutored the nascent Roman civilization, influencing its art, its engineering, and its religious rituals. The very symbols of Roman power, from the fasces to the gladiatorial games, may have Etruscan roots. To be unable to fully understand their language is to be unable to fully understand the origins of Rome itself. Without a bilingual key, a Rosetta Stone for the Etruscan tongue, their innermost secrets may remain locked away forever, a testament to an ancient people who still whisper their enigmas to the modern world. From one silent people to another, our journey takes us halfway across the globe and thousands of years forward in time. Deep within the desolate, wind-swept expanse of the Bayan Har Mountains, On the border between China and Tibet, a discovery was made in 1938 that would ignite a firestorm of speculation. An expedition, reportedly led by the archaeologist Chi Pu Te, uncovered a network of interlocking caves. These were not natural formations, but tombs, and within them, they found something that defied all historical precedent: a collection of hundreds of stone discs, strangely reminiscent of modern-day phonograph records. These artifacts became known as the Dropa stones. Each measured roughly 12 inches in diameter, with a hole bored through the center. But their most remarkable feature was a continuous double spiral groove that began at the central hole and wound its way to the outer rim. Upon closer inspection, these grooves were not for a stylus, but were composed of a line of tiny, unknown hieroglyphs. The story deepened decades later, when the narrative of these inscriptions was purportedly deciphered. The tale it told was not of this earth. It spoke of a spacecraft from a distant world that had crash-landed in these mountains 12,000 years ago. The occupants, a people called the Dropa, found themselves stranded, their ship damaged beyond repair, unable to return to their home planet. The implications were sensational, offering a tangible link to a paleo-contact event, a visitation from the stars in the deep past. Yet, for a story of such magnitude, concrete evidence remains as elusive as the mountain mists. While some champion the Dropa stones as genuine artifacts of an ancient alien encounter, many in the scientific community argue they are a clever hoax, or perhaps a misinterpretation of naturally formed geological oddities. The mystery is only compounded by the fact that the stones themselves have vanished from the public record. The official story is that they are held in private collections or were lost during political upheaval, far from the reach of independent study. Their origin, their meaning, and their very existence are now subjects of faith as much as fact, providing tantalizing hints of a past beyond our imagining, but no concrete answers. From the tombs of Tuscany to the caves of the Himalayas, we are confronted by the profound silence of stone. One story speaks of a lost human voice, a vital chapter of our own history we are desperate to reclaim. The other tells of a voice that may not have been human at all, a message from the cosmos that we can scarcely dare to believe. Both leave us standing at the edge of understanding, peering into a darkness illuminated only by fragments and folklore. They remind us that history is not a complete and finished text, but a landscape of enduring mysteries, where the greatest secrets are those that refuse to speak. For 14 centuries, an entire civilization lay silent, its voice trapped behind a wall of inscrutable symbols. The grand temples of Karnak, the tombs in the Valley of the Kings, the papyrus scrolls buried with the dead, all were covered in a language that no living person could read. The intricate figures of birds, reeds, and gods were a code without a key, a magnificent story without a storyteller. Egypt was a land of spectacular ruins, but its soul was lost to time. Then, in the summer of 1799, during the chaos of Napoleon's Egyptian campaign, a company of French soldiers working near the port town of Rashid, which Europeans called Rosetta, unearthed something extraordinary. It was not gold, nor a pharaoh's sarcophagus, but a fractured slab of dark granodiorite, heavy and unassuming. Yet this stone would prove more valuable than any treasure. It bore an inscription, a decree from the reign of Ptolemy V, issued in the year 196 BCE. Crucially, the decree was not written once, but 3 times. The uppermost text was in the sacred hieroglyphs of the priests. Below it was Demotic, the cursive script of everyday Egyptian life. And at the bottom, a language the world still knew intimately: ancient Greek. Here was the potential for a breakthrough. If all three texts recorded the same royal proclamation, then the known Greek could serve as a guide, a map to navigate the lost worlds of the other two scripts. The challenge ignited a fierce intellectual race across Europe. For 2 decades, scholars labored, painstakingly cross-referencing, guessing, and tracing the faint outlines of linguistic patterns. It was the French philologist Jean-François Champollion who, in a moment of brilliant insight, finally cracked the code. He realized that the hieroglyphs were not merely symbolic pictures, but a complex hybrid representing both ideas and phonetic sounds. By 1822, he announced his initial decipherment. The wall of silence that had stood for over a millennium had been breached. The stone began to speak. Suddenly, the inscriptions on temple walls and obelisks were no longer mere decoration. They were histories, hymns, and royal edicts. The stories of pharaohs, the rituals of priests, and the private letters of ordinary citizens came flooding back into human memory, breathing life into a civilization that had been a magnificent but mute spectacle. Now housed in the British Museum, the Rosetta Stone is more than an artifact. It is a monument to the profound human refusal to accept a silent past. But where one stone provided a key, another story offers only a lock, a mystery that recedes the more we search for it. It begins, as so many Western mysteries do, with the philosopher Plato. In his dialogues, he spoke of an island continent, a kingdom of unparalleled power and sophistication named Atlantis. Existing some 9,000 years before his own time, it was a naval empire situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Plato described a marvel of concentric rings of land and water, a society rich in exotic resources and advanced engineering. But its greatness was matched only by its hubris. In a single terrible day and night of misfortune, violent earthquakes and floods consumed the island, and it vanished forever beneath the waves. For over 2,000 years, humanity has been haunted by this tale. Was Plato documenting a genuine folk memory, a historical catastrophe passed down through generations? Or was it a purely philosophical allegory, a cautionary tale about the inevitable fall of a perfect society, corrupted by greed and power? The quest for an answer has led explorers and theorists across the globe, proposing locations from the volcanic ruins of Santorini in the Mediterranean to the submerged plains of the Caribbean, and even to the frozen wastes of Antarctica. Yet for all the searching, for all the sonar scans of the ocean floor, not one definitive piece of evidence for this lost city has ever been found. Atlantis remains a ghost, a powerful idea that reflects our own anxieties about impermanence and our enduring hope that a world of forgotten wonders lies just beyond the edge of the map. While the legend of Atlantis speaks of a lost, almost magical technology, sometimes the sea gives up secrets that are just as unbelievable and entirely real. In the year 1900, a team of Greek sponge divers, taking shelter from a storm near the tiny island of Antikythera, discovered an ancient Roman shipwreck. Among the marble statues and pottery they brought to the surface was a corroded, unassuming lump of bronze, which for months was mistaken for little more than a piece of rock. It was only when the lump broke apart that its true nature began to emerge. Decades of painstaking analysis using advanced X-ray and imaging technology revealed a breathtaking reality hidden within the calcified remains. It was a complex system of over 30 interlocking bronze gears, dials, and pointers of extraordinary precision. This was no simple tool. It was an astronomical calculator, an ancient analog computer of a sophistication that scholars believed was not possible for another 1,000 years. The Antikythera mechanism could predict the positions of the sun, moon, and visible planets. It could track the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games and, most remarkably, forecast solar and lunar eclipses. It was a portable, clockwork cosmos, a mechanical model of the heavens that shattered the prevailing narrative of ancient technological capacity. The Rosetta Stone gave us back a lost language. The story of Atlantis challenges the boundary between myth and memory. The Antikythera mechanism restored a lost chapter of scientific genius. Each discovery, whether of solid fact or enduring legend, reminds us that the past is not a static landscape to be observed from a distance. It is an active dialogue, a place of profound mystery and startling revelation, where a single fragment can rewrite our entire understanding of what humanity is and what it has been capable of. And in every artifact recovered, every text deciphered, we find not just the story of who they were, but a deeper, more complex reflection of who we are. From the dark, silent depths of the Aegean Sea, a treasure was raised. Not gold, nor marble statuary, but a single corroded lump of bronze. For decades, it sat in a museum, an anonymous casualty of a 2,000-year-old shipwreck. But within this calcified tomb lay a secret, an object of such staggering complexity that it would rewrite the history of science. This is the Antikythera mechanism. Dating back to the 2nd century before the Common Era, this intricate assembly of gears and dials, once encased in a simple wooden box, is nothing less than the world's first known analog computer. Modern imaging, peering through the layers of corrosion, has revealed a clockwork cosmos. More than 30 interlocking bronze gears, some with teeth barely a millimeter across, were engineered with breathtaking precision. They were designed not just to tell time, but to map the heavens. With the turn of a handle, the mechanism could predict the position of the sun and the moon against the zodiac. It tracked the subtle irregularities of the lunar orbit, a feat of calculation that was not thought to have been mastered until a millennium later. A sophisticated spiral dial on its reverse face charted the Saros cycle, a 223-month period used to forecast both lunar and solar eclipses with unnerving accuracy. It was an astronomical codex, a philosopher's guide to the heavens, and perhaps a social calendar, with one of its dials marking the 4-year cycle of the great Pan-Hellenic Games, including those at Olympia. Its existence shatters our assumptions about the ancient world, presenting us with a ghost of forgotten knowledge. It forces us to ask a disquieting question. If this one impossible object survived by sheer chance, what other marvels of antiquity were lost forever to the silence of the abyss? Thousands of miles away, and more than 2 millennia earlier, another civilization was mastering a different kind of engineering. In the vast, sun-scorched plains of the Indus Valley lie the ruins of a city whose true name is unknown. We call it Mohenjo-Daro, a name from the Sindhi language meaning the Mound of the Dead Men. Flourishing around 2500 BCE, it was a metropolis of staggering sophistication. This was not a city that grew by chance. It was conceived. A meticulously planned urban grid with broad avenues and ordered side streets reveals a society governed by logic and foresight. What truly sets Mohenjo-Daro apart is its infrastructure, a system of public works that would not be seen again for thousands of years. Nearly every home had access to its own well and bathing area. Wastewater was ingeniously channeled from these homes into a network of covered drains that ran beneath the streets, a testament to an unparalleled understanding of sanitation and hydroengineering. At the city's heart stands the Great Bath. A colossal waterproofed pool triumphs. The people themselves remain ghosts. Their script, found on thousands of small, intricately carved seals, is a language of symbols that no one can read. Their wisdom, their laws, their stories, all are locked behind a veil of silence. Why this great civilization ultimately declined, and what secrets its undeciphered script still holds, remains one of archaeology's most profound and haunting mysteries. From the ordered bricks of a lost city, we journey to the arid plains of southern Peru, to a landscape transformed into a colossal canvas. Here, etched into the desert floor, are the Nazca Lines. These enormous geoglyphs, spanning miles of desolate terrain, were created by the Nazca people between 500 BCE and 500 CE. They are a gallery of giants, visible in their entirety only from the sky. Spiders, hummingbirds, monkeys with spiraling tails, and vast geometric shapes are carved into the very skin of the earth with a single, unbroken line. The sheer scale and precision are baffling. How could a people create images of such perfect proportion without an aerial viewpoint? This paradox has given rise to countless theories: that they were astronomical calendars, pathways for sacred rituals, or perhaps even colossal appeals to deities in the heavens. The creators of these enigmatic figures left no written record, no explanation for their monumental work. They left only the lines themselves, silent and stark against the desert stone. They are a testament to a fundamental human impulse to impose order on the world, to speak to the cosmos, and to leave a mark that will endure beyond a single lifetime. And in our inability to fully grasp their meaning, we are reminded that the past is not a story with all its pages intact. It is a fragmented whisper, carried on the wind, forever inviting us to listen. Etched into the desolate expanse of the Peruvian desert, a monumental secret lies in plain sight. Some scholars believe these are the lines of a colossal astronomical calendar, their paths aligning with the solstices or distant celestial bodies. Others contend they were sacred pathways, walked in elaborate rituals, desperate pleas to powerful deities for the gift of water in an unforgiving land. Their survival for nearly 2 millennia is a marvel of both climate and human foresight. In one of the driest places on Earth, the Nazca people meticulously cleared away the dark, iron oxide-coated pebbles of the desert floor to reveal the lighter earth beneath. The shallow trenches, just inches deep, were enough to protect their creations from the sweeping winds, preserving them for ages. They remain a silent dialogue between a lost culture and the cosmos, a message written not in words, but in the very land itself, an enduring testament to our ancient quest for meaning in a vast universe.